Alright guys, I was about 5 when I figured out 2 things in life. Number 1, what rotten wood looks like, and number 2, how gravity works. That's what I learned. Those are the 2, and they happened simultaneously. This was before Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was like the man with the bullwhip. Everybody, when Indiana Jones came out, every kid wanted a bullwhip. I don't know how wise that was, for parents to go out and buy a bunch of 8-year-olds bullwhips, but a lot of parents did and actually had a bullwhip. But this was the days before Indiana Jones, and the popular dude, for guys playing out in the woods was Tarzan. Tarzan was like the man. Tarzan would come on Tarzan or Tarzan? Tarzan. For your own benefit, I will be wrong and pronounce it Tarzan. Tarzan, though, was the man. He came on, it was like an old serial that would come on Saturday mornings in the midst of all. Never mind, that's too complicated. I'm not going to explain serials or anything like that to you. But there was a show that would come on, and it was Tarzan, whatever you call it. And Tarzan, he would swing on the vines, and he had a little chimp, the little chimpanzee, guy, and then he had a little kid, that he called, what do you call the kid? Do y'all remember? Boy, exactly. The kid's name was Boy. Imagine that, Boy. So hey, Boy, come here, But Tarzan was really the man, and he contributed to me figuring out what rotten wood looks like and what the way gravity works all together, because there's this awesome tree in my front yard, and it was a great tree. It was a Y with branches coming out of the sides, and I was about 5 when I finally figured out how to scrunch up this thing. I'd run and jump, get around the trunk and just kind of shoot up, and I'd get up this tree. And I remember being on this side of the tree, and the road was right down there. And I promise you, there was an old man that stopped, looked, and laughed his head off when this happened. He didn't come check on me. Would have been nice, but he didn't, because I could hear the laughing out of his car window. Well, I look up, and 8 feet away or so was a branch sticking out of that side of the tree, that Y over there. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, I can make that. What I didn't realize is, the wood looked a little weird, and it was rotten, and I didn't realize that. And I promise you, I was 20 feet up. I was huge. No, I wasn't that far up, but I was really, really far. I was probably only maybe 5 feet up. but I was 5. I was a little short, scrawny little kid. And here I am up this tree, and it's like the Empire State Building, huge up there. So here I am. I'm getting ready to jump, and I jumped, and it went, and I grabbed onto it, and I got it, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, the Tarzan yell. And when I got swinging, I swung out, and when I got right out here, you know what happened? It went, kick, and it broke right off in my hand. And here I am. I went immediately from, yeah, oh no, it was like cartoon, I promise you, I stopped in midair, and it was like the Roadrunner. I looked around going, oh, what's going to happen to me? I fell flat on my back, landed flat on my back. And I learned that day, number 1, what rotten wood looks like. Avoid rotten wood if you're jumping from tree to tree. And number 2, how gravity works. Y'all know about gravity, right? Y'all been in science classes. It's basically the fact that things that exist and have mass, no matter how big they are, the Earth's really big, and it attracted me, in a big way. But 2 things that have mass attract one another. They have an attractive, force called gravity toward one another. And I don't know if you know this, gravity's kind of wild. It's what gives us the ability to walk around and make sure we're gelling. If you want to put it. Have y'all not seen that commercial yet, gelling? That's how you know you can be gelling, because of gravity. Because pushing down on the jelly, pushing you closer to the ground. Hey, I'm jelly. You know, that whole jelly commercial. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. I don't know where that even came from. But it's out there now, so I decided to chase it. Anyway, did you know though that you can actually take, like if you were to take a plumb bob, raise your hand if you know what a plumb bob is. Okay, nobody knows what a plumb bob is. If you were to take a really long yo-yo, we'll say a yo-yo, like, you know, a 2,000-foot string yo-yo, and hang it down next to Mount Everest, did you know that the mass of Mount Everest is so much that it'll actually pull that yo-yo a little bit towards it? Did y'all know that? That's how powerful gravity is. That's how gravity works. The moon, you know, we orbit the sun because of gravity. The moon actually orbits us because of gravity. It's just the fact that things that have mass, listen guys, things that have mass attract other things to them. And if something is big enough, and something has enough material that's a part of it, enough mass to it, then guess what? It becomes more and more attractive. Maybe not like, look at that banana, but like attractive, like, you know, pulling things towards it. That's the way gravity works. That's the way gravity works. Okay, now, scratch that. Now everybody leave it. Super gravity. Bobby was a friend of mine. And Bobby was a guy that I worked with in a chicken hatchery. Worked in a chicken hatchery for many years. It was right at the beginning of when I started doing ministry. I would go around and I would do drama at different churches. I was actually a part of a drama group at one time that we went around to different churches and different ministries and did drama for them. And as part of that, I had the opportunity sometimes to go and speak and preach at different churches. And when I did that, when this one particular morning, this church that I actually went to up the street from where I worked, no, listen up. Up the street from where I worked, there was the church that I actually attended. And when I went there, was asked to preach one particular Sunday morning, and Bobby was a friend of mine that I worked with, that I knew didn't have a relationship with Jesus. I just knew he didn't. And I'd been witnessing to him and talking to him about a relationship with God for several years. Got to be really good friends with Bobby. Bobby was the kind of guy, though, that if you ran into him in a dark alley, you would run the other way without even him saying a word. He could be the nicest guy in the world, but you just see him and go, ah! You know, and freak out and run. Because Bobby was a rough-looking fella. He had tattoos up and down his arms, you know. And, you know, he had, like, when he would come to work, sometimes he would wear a shirt, big old hairy chest, and, you know, he would, like, chew tobacco, and, you know, tobacco spit sometimes hanging out. You know, it's not, sorry, didn't mean to gross you out there, but that's just who he was. Anyway, Bobby was a great guy. He was a great guy. And a few months before I knew I was going to be preaching at this church, right up the street from where we were, I started inviting Bobby. You know, and you know, I'll be honest, it was a little off. It was a little shady because I was like, hey Bobby, why don't you come hear me? You know, but my motivation wasn't for him to come hear me. It was for him to come and have that encounter with Jesus, and be around other believers.